Alright, in this video I want to talk about how I was able to raise the prices in my lawn mowing / snow removal business. What I did to go from charging $25 to charging $40 for a yard the same size. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so before I get into what I actually did to start commanding higher prices in my business, I just want to go over a quick story about one of the very first estimates I did before I had any idea what I was doing, how to estimate, how to quote, how to talk to customers, how to set them up, how to collect payments. Before I knew any of that stuff, I pulled up to this property. It was a small property, small little bungalow. It was a couple of senior citizens that lived there. I knocked on the door, they showed me around, we chit-chatted, we were getting along, everything seemed fine. It was a nice property, small, would have been very easy to take care of, and everything seemed to be going well. They invited me into their dining room, we sat down at the kitchen table, and we discussed the numbers, right? So it came down to the part that everybody loves: how much is this going to cost? I looked the husband dead in the eyes and I told him $40. And I will never forget the look on his wife's face. Her eyes just lit up. She looked like she had just, like I had grown an extra eye on my forehead or something. She was like, wow, what are you smoking, right? So they went along with it. They're like, okay, yeah, sure, $40 sounds good, sounds good. They didn't put up any fight. They didn't try to lower the price, nothing like that. They said, let's do it. I said, cool. They walked me out the door. They sort of rushed me out the door, to be honest. I got in my truck and I was like, cool. That didn't seem right, but cool. I went home, and then later that night or the next day or whatever, I got a call from the couple saying, you know what, we'd actually like to cancel. We don't want your service. And I was sort of heartbroken because, you know, in those early days, every customer counts, and as soon as you get an extra customer, you're kind of stoked, right? So I was sort of disappointed to have lost that deal, but it is what it is. So what did I do wrong in this situation? So I think one of the first things that I did wrong in this situation, the reason that I was not able to get the price that I wanted, was because of this. So this was the flyer that I used to start my business. This was the foundation of my business. I got lots of calls through this flyer. I got lots of business through this flyer, and I got all my original customers through flyers like this. I had a snow one and a leaf one as well, and that's how I did all my business, was these very, very basic flyers. They worked very well for me, except for one thing. I did end up dealing with a lot of people that were lowballers. A lot of people that when I told them my price, they said that was way too much. A lot of people looking for very cheap cuts that I didn't want to do. And because of that, I found myself lowering my price and asking for prices that I really thought I was worth more than. But I think the reason was because this flyer here was attracting the wrong type of clients, right? So somebody that gets a cheap flyer like this, they're going to expect a cheap price, right? So if you give this flyer to Bob and then you give this flyer to her neighbor or his neighbor Susie, Bob might get this flyer and say, give these guys a call, they're cheap. Susie might get that same exact flyer and say, don't give these guys a call, they're cheap, right? So that is the big difference. There's a different perception. I was attracting the wrong type of clients. The reason these people wouldn't pay me $40 is because they would have never paid me $40. They would have never paid anybody $40 because they were looking to pay probably $20, $25, right? So that was my big mistake in the beginning, is that I was using a flyer that kind of portrayed cheapness. So today I use a completely different flyer. I actually use door hangers. They're glossy, they're a thicker stock of paper, they're full color. They have a logo, they have my business name, they have my website, they have all my social media on there. They have some selling points, and it's basically just a much more professional looking flyer. When people get that, they think they're dealing with a real business. So now when I get calls from those flyers or through the website or through Google, people have a different perception. They're expecting to pay a little more because they're looking for a professional, real company or business that they can trust. And my old flyer just didn't portray that, but my new flyer does. And I find myself now dealing with a lot less people that give me a hard time and beat me up over my price. So today, if I were doing that same property over again, maybe not the same property and the same customers, but if I was doing a property that same size, a yard that same size, I would probably quote them at $40, and more than likely I would be able to land that customer. I have customers now that have yards the same size as what those people's yard was, and I charge them, you know, $35, $40 all day long, and with no arguments, nothing. And I'm able to do that now. And the difference is that now I'm targeting a different type of person. I'm targeting somebody that's willing to pay a little bit more to deal with a more trustworthy, professional looking business. So that's the big thing here, is even though the product that I'm delivering, the service that I'm delivering is essentially the same thing. I'm taking your tall grass and I'm making it short. Not a whole lot you can change there. I'm doing basically the same thing I did way back then, but now I'm able to ask a lot more money. And the difference is not how well I'm cutting the grass, it's just the perception that the customers have of me and my business. I'm now attracting Susie and not Bob, and that's what you want to do. You do not want to be dealing with lowballers. So the first big thing I would say, if you are trying to raise your prices, is maybe update your flyers, your marketing, make it look a little bit more professional. Do not go the cheap route. Make sure that your flyers and your advertising has a business name on it, has a logo on it, has a website on it, and really try to make it look like a real business. With this flyer that I was using back in the day, it just portrayed some guy down the street that didn't really know what he was doing, and he was just trying to make a couple extra bucks on the side. And essentially that's what it was. And you know, when I started off, I guess it did kind of work in my favor because I really didn't know what I was doing, and this flyer did portray that. But because of that, I was not able to get the same prices as I do today. So yeah, so the big difference here is perceived value. The customer perceives me as more valuable, even though, like I said, the service is basically the same. Step 2 is, I would say, have an internet presence, have some sort of presence on social media, have a website, have something that the customer can go to online and see your work, see that you're a legit business. This is going to give the customer a little bit more peace of mind. It's going to make you look a little more legit, a little bit more real. It's going to give you a little bit of trustworthiness. So basically, having an internet presence is going to make selling a whole lot easier for you. It's going to make the decision a lot easier for the customer, and it's going to make it a lot easier to convince them to choose you and to pay your prices. I guess step 3 would be to have uniforms, have clean looking uniforms. When I go do estimates now, I wear a collared shirt with my business logo on it, and it looks a little bit more professional. I look like a real business, and that is another thing that is going to provide value to your customers. Again, the cut of the grass is not going to be any different, but if the guy cutting the grass is wearing a clean, nice uniform with a business logo on it, that is valuable to the customer, opposed to having somebody come on the job wearing, you know, an old dirty shirt that they picked out of their closet. They picked out their worst shirt because they know they're going to get it dirty. You don't want to have people on your yard dressed like bums. Even if they're doing the exact same mow, they're providing the exact same service. It sounds crazy, but there are people out there that will actually pay you more to show up at their property with a uniform on. So you could literally make more money by wearing a certain type of shirt, which is, maybe it sounds crazy because, like I said, the mow is the same, the cut is the same, the guy's doing the exact same work, but you could literally make more money just by wearing a uniform. So another little thing I do that I think provides value to the customer is when I'm out there giving quotes to people, I bring with me a piece of paper that is a quote form, essentially. I made it up on Word, and when I go do my estimates, I bring it with me, I fill it out for the customer, and I give them a copy of the quote at the end of the interaction. I give them a paper that has the quote written down on it, has any little details written on it, and I give that to the customer. And again, very basic, simple thing, but it's something that gives the customer a little bit of peace of mind, and people are willing to pay a little bit more for peace of mind. So another way that I provide value to the customer is when I'm out there giving the quotes to them and they say, how do I pay? I try to give them as many options as possible. So for me, I say they could pay cash, they could pay check, they could pay e-transfer, and on top of that, I actually do accept credit card payments as well. So accepting credit cards, for me personally, I like to give them the option of many different ways to pay, so that no matter how they want to do it, they can do it. But providing credit cards, providing them with the ability to pay online, that is valuable to the customer. Like I've had customers in the past tell me that their last mowing guy used to actually ask them to drop the money off at their apartment or at their house or whatever, which to me is like crazy. So when I tell them, hey, you know what, with me, I'll just send you an email and you can pay right online. We don't even have to interact. You don't have to worry about going to the bank and withdrawing some cash or anything like that. I try to make the payment process as easy as possible, and that provides value to the customer. So the customer will be willing to pay more for you to actually accept their preferred style of payment. So before I get to my final tip, I want to go over my biggest tip. So for me, the best thing that I've done in my business to start asking for higher prices was getting on Google and getting myself a whole bunch of 5-star positive reviews. So now when I get people calling me for an estimate, I ask them where they heard about me, and so many of them now call me and tell me that they saw me on Google, and the reason that they called was because they saw all the positive 5-star reviews. So as soon as they say that, I know that I can get top dollar out of them because they've basically been referred. I'm basically a trustworthy source now, and they're going to want to do business with me after reading all those positive reviews. So that would be the biggest thing. Get yourself on Google and be proactive on trying to get positive reviews for your business, because they will sell your service. I barely even have to talk. If somebody's seen the reviews that I have online, I barely even have to say a word. They are just ready to go. They just want to know how much it's going to cost, and they see all those reviews. That builds trustworthiness with them, and they are willing to pay top dollar for a trustworthy business that they can trust. There's a lot of guys out there that are scamming. There's people out there that will take your money and not even show up to cut your grass. So you want to separate yourself from those guys and show people that you are a real business. You have clients, and you have happy clients. So these positive 5-star reviews are going to attract the Susies of the world and not the Bobs. Anybody that's looking at your reviews and trying to see if you're a good business, those are the people that are looking to pay top dollar. Those are not the cheapskates. So remember that when you're getting yourself positive reviews. Those are going to help you attract top-notch clients. So the final thing I want to say here is get better at interacting with your leads and your customers by practicing. So practice your phone calls, practice your quotes. When you go out there and you're doing quotes for people, anticipate the questions that they might have for you and have an answer already pre-planned in your head. So when I go to a customer's property and they ask me a question, if I have an answer just ready to go, that gives them a little bit more peace of mind, and they'll be willing to pay for somebody that looks like they know what they're talking about. If you go to the client's property and they ask you a question and you're like, I don't really know, or you're stumbling over yourself, or you don't really have an answer just ready to go, that's going to look bad on you, and they're not going to want to maybe even hire you at all. But if you have an answer ready to go, if you know what that person's questions are going to be, and you already have answers for all their questions, that is going to help you so much, because the customer is going to see you as a professional. The customer is going to see you as somebody that knows what they're doing. So that would be the final thing I would say. I would say practice talking to customers on the phone, practice quotes, anticipate the questions, and have answers for them. So that would be the final thing I would say. The more professional you can be in these situations, the more money you can ask. They're going to want to do business with somebody that appears to know what they're talking about, opposed to somebody that just looks like they're lost, right? So that would be the final thing that I would recommend here is just practice dealing with customers, practice those interactions, and ask for more money. So that's it. That's how I'm able to charge higher prices today than I did back in the day. And as you can see, it has nothing to do with the way I cut the grass. It has nothing to do with mowing, blowing, and edging. Anybody can do a great job cutting your grass. I'm trying to provide value in different ways. I'm trying to become more trustworthy. I'm trying to be more professional and clean, and I'm just trying to be a better business. And that is how I do it. Get yourself online, get yourself some social media presence, get yourself some positive reviews, get yourself some uniforms, practice selling, do these things, and I guarantee you can start asking more money. So thank you very much for watching the video. If I missed anything, please let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know. If there's anything you want to add, please let me know in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching the video, and peace.